All right, there we go. Recording. Cool. Now I'm going to click the basics. So I can also tap into you guys. Live video. Cool. All right, guys. Hey, everybody. I know it's a little last minute. I'm doing this to support another member who is needing their emotional release portion. So if you're joining in with us, be aware I may not be able to answer questions in a timely manner just because I'm simply trying to get through all of the material within a 35-minute time frame. If you don't know me and we've not met yet, I hope that one day we can, but my name is Amelia Lasky and I'm a certified care instructor and I'm a supervisor instructor as well. So I help a lot of people get through the care process and take their classes and then also help them get through their return demo and do lots of coaching with them to make sure that they're prepared and ready to go for their exam. I also love seeing women and teachers and moms and whomever you are, even fathers and husbands on the journey to creating wellness in their lifestyle. So that's a big, huge part of my life as well. So I'll add in some tidbits. We're going to be using our notes, which will be the Care Intensive notes. We're going to be going straight through and just reading from the material. I may end up pulling a PowerPoint up. So if I do that, it'll just be the screen share portion of it. You might see me. Okay, I'm working through this a little bit. So let me see what happens if I click this. Oh, you can see that. Cool. Okay. Or maybe you can't see it. Maybe you can see the Zoom call with that. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so the care instructor, care intensive emotional release session starts and uses this information, okay? So the care emotional release is a 5-hour class, and this portion here is just gonna be the theory behind it all. So the couple first general commentary portions of it all. So I'm gonna use this PowerPoint to help keep me on track. David Stewart created this course to support anyone who is wanting to know how to work through a raindrop technique or possibly even further through an emotional release technique and be very comfortable with what happens and how it works and what the body's doing, what the mind's doing, emotions, how to handle people with emotions. And he's really, really on point with giving all this information. It's very timely. Many people know about this type of stuff, but they just haven't melded it together with the essential oils or with the resources and things like that. Okay. Part 1, the principal purpose. Okay, so the principal purpose of Care Emotional Release Demo at an intensive is to provide you with an overview of the tools, the knowledge, and the skills to facilitate an emotional release with a client should the need arise during a care raindrop. 3 primary points to focus on during a raindrop. So if you're doing a raindrop and your client begins to release, this is for you, okay? The primary role of the facilitator during the emotional release is to just provide a loving and unconditionally accepting environment in which the client feels safe to release whatever it is they need to release. So you might not even understand that the person is releasing because it looks like a normal fidgeting or it looks like itching or maybe they have a stuffy nose and it begins to drain. All of these things, even though subtly they don't seem like a lot, they're actually signs that the body is releasing stored emotions. So I tell my students, become really aware of what your client's doing. Is their foot twitching a lot? Is their hand shifting from left to right side? Are they touching their face? Are they like covering up their mouth? Are they breathing really differently? These are all subtle signs that the body is doing something to release. You want to be supportive of this person by just maintaining a non-judgmental attitude. This is continuously praying for God's guidance and God's will to be done for the benefit of the client, whatever that may be. And if you aren't in the theory of supporting a godlike figure, then just go from your creator standpoint. Go from that this body can do whatever it's designed to do, because the design of human is so innately created that it can do anything, include heal itself. When you sense that the client has completed their release, simply ask, are there any other issues that you wish to deal with at this time? If the answer is yes, then and they have more to deal with, you can continue in silence and in love. If the answer is no, then finish at that time and then just begin the grounding procedure. You'll learn all about this coming up, okay? So the main point, you don't have to really do anything. If a person is going to release something, it's because number one, they feel comfortable around you. Number two, their body, mind, and spirit are ready to release. And number three, it's their time. There's nothing that you can do to prevent that from happening. A lot of people ask me, what do I do if I'm not ready for a client to release and they begin to cry and they don't know what to do? Well, then the person is most likely not going to do that because they're not comfortable energetically. They will feel a lack of comfort within you. So it will be okay. So just be with them, be in silence, be in an attitude of love, unconditional love, prayer, acceptance. This is all that is needed. The less you say and do is the better. Your loving touch, so just being there, not walking away. I've even began to prevent myself from saying it's okay. I've taken it's okay out of my vocabulary, and all I do is put my hand on the back. If they begin to cry or if they begin to moan or any other thing that is really like them releasing physically and I get to be uncomfortable, all I do is put my hand on their back. I stop what I'm doing for a few moments. I say, I'm here for you and you are safe. And I let them release. I don't say, okay, it's okay, because I don't want them to feel like that whatever they are reliving or releasing was okay. If they were abused, you don't want them to think that their abuse was okay. That wasn't okay. But whatever they're releasing, it's okay. It's time for them to release, and I'm here for them. I almost said it again. Did you hear that? We're just so ingrained with that thought pattern of, oh, you're fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's like we have to release that from ourselves too. God's love is flowing through you. Whoever your creator is, he's doing the healing, okay? You're just a vessel. You're just a person there putting the oils on, helping that person get through whatever they need to get through. You're not the healer, and you can't take the heaviness with you from that, okay? And here's the post about what if you're not ready. Don't worry. Clients only release with those who sense in you the safety and acceptance required for a safe release. Consider it an honor and just be with them. So if somebody begins to cry in one of your raindrop sessions, just know that environment feels very, very safe and comforting. The philosophy of care, emotional release, is that each individual stores emotions within their body for release at a later time, when a person is ready and able to process them. It is also grounded in the biblical understanding that we are created in the image of God. With this in mind, we believe that there is a blueprint of perfection with every aspect of our being and every cell of our bodies waiting to become manifest. So David and Lee Stewart were very grounded in their faith. They are the ones who talk so deeply about how these repressed emotions can really block us for our own cellular record of that perfection within us, the one that God put there, the one that our creator put there. David often says repressed feelings and unconscious memories from traumatic events we experienced long ago may represent our inability to cope with the trauma that at that moment in time. We set aside the experience to deal with it later when we would be better equipped to handle it. Emotions then become stored for later processing. So what happens if a client comes up to you and they said, oh, I've been holding on to stuff for so long and it's really, I just have a lot of tension. I have something going, something physically is going on in my body. You can really begin to pull some things out. When did that start happening? Why is your body feeling this way? Have you always felt this? Do you get this more when you're stressed? Do you get this more when you have certain types of issues coming up in your life? Because they might be storing emotions. So storing emotions may occur when we are too young to understand a full measure of a situation, event, or language. Additionally, it may happen when there are conflicting feelings, confusion, or misjudgment of reality. These stored emotions are living, intelligent centers of energy that may broadcast their influence in our lives as long as they remain buried within the body. What happens when emotions are resolved? So when we are in an emotional experience and we own it and we deal with it and we face it, we're accepting of that emotion. So I accept that I was frustrated at my brother for doing this. When we accept that emotion and we own that emotion, it's the first step in moving on past the emotion. If you want to bury the emotion, if you want to block it out or stuff it down or just let go of it without actually owning it, it's much harder to do anything with it. If we face it and deal with that emotion as it occurs, we never lose our awareness of it, and we seek to learn the spiritual lesson that experience can teach us, then we know that emotion has been resolved. When we choose to maintain conscious awareness of our thoughts and feelings and deal with them as they occur is an act of faith and facing our reality that leads to correct perception of truth. So, how many times have you been told, or you see somebody who's just living in denial? Okay, this is a big deal. When you have somebody thinking that their problems are going to get better just by moving, doing one thing, or if I don't worry about it, it's just going to get better. So it's going to go away. Things don't just go away like that. Oftentimes we have to really focus in and hone in on what our issues are to be able to process them. Okay, when an emotional experience is resolved, it's a spiritual task completed. Our bodies have DNA. So every single cell, we have 100 trillion cells in our body, each of which contains 6 gigabytes of memory. So imagine if you were storing, how we store Christmas decor or clothes that don't fit us, or maybe seasonal clothing. Just imagine we have 100 trillion cells worth of storage space. And if you shoved all your stuff from every single year of your life, maybe every single week of your life, you took one item from every week of your life or every day of your life, and it was stored in there, then you're going to have so much to unlock and unbury. So when a spiritual task is completed, it causes the negative information to be deleted from the DNA. Otherwise, if it's not completed, if that emotion's not resolved, it's never going to be released from our DNA. When we release it, it allows for inappropriate emotions and behavior to disappear on all levels: physical, emotional, and spiritual. So what happens when emotions are not resolved? This is a big deal, guys. It's not processing. What's going on? There we go. Okay. Unresolved emotions are recorded in cellular memory in our DNA and remain there until they're dealt with. Your body contains 100 trillion cells, each of which contains 6 gigabytes of memory. Emotions can be stored at any part of the body, not just the head, not just the heart, not just the brain. We have actually found that when we do group or self-work on our body, there are points, they're called trigger points or alarm points, where you can apply the essential oils to, and it will release those repressed emotions. And when you use the oil and an affirmation and the alarm point, the exact location, rather than just smelling it, we want you to smell it because that's the connection to our brain. But when you do the actual spot, it's much more likely that body of unresolved emotion is stored in those spaces because of their frequency. They connect to each other. We'll learn about this in a little bit. Oh, this is kind of mixed up in here. Okay, so it says conscious versus subconscious. So the conscious is the prefrontal cortex. And this is the largest in humans. And this is where we have our logic and forethought and our judgment. Whereas our subconscious is our limbic system. It has the same ratios as animals, and this is emotional urges. So when you think of an animal, when they are processing their sensory things, like when their sense of smell, when they smell things to eat. What do? They know emotionally that that's going to serve them, and they know physically that's going to be helpful for them. So they use that subconscious, that limbic system, that center of the brain, to help them with their emotional sides. Okay, more consequences. So repressed emotions remain alive and active in our bodies and influence and direct our lives for good or for ill. Repressed emotions restrict and warp our lives in innumerable ways, enslaving us with the compulsions and negative habits, causing us to act socially in inappropriate ways, creating illnesses in our body, sabotaging our efforts to achieve success, leading us into socially undesirable situations, destroying the good situations and relationships in our lives, potentially leaving us exhausted. Okay? To be freed of unresolved emotions, the receiver must be willing to be aware of the present, past, the pleasant, and the unpleasant. They must accept the responsibility for personal emotions and be willing to let go. They must be okay to be okay. Now, sometimes when I say this, people are questioning me, like, what does that mean to be okay? Well, a lot of people, you may know some of them, they actually really, really, really love to be sick, and they love negative attention, and they love what being sick and being negative and being hurt and frustrated can do for them. It can provide them a source of comfort in the fact that they're constantly getting questions and they have somebody to focus on, and somebody to focus on them, and they have doctor's appointments to go to for their physical ailments and just these chronic things that it's just something to do. Whereas people who have that desire to really want to move forward in their life, they would much rather move and be constantly evolving. Whereas the person who is okay of being not okay, they want to stay where they're at. They want to stay stuck. And that's really hard to deal with sometimes, because it can be a loved one. It can be a friend or a person that's close to you. And it can be really hard to watch them stay stuck when you know that they could be so much further along in their life if they would just release and let go. My husband said, no diapers in the van. I'm so sorry. On the surface, so we have one book I'm going to talk about quickly right here. And if you can't tell, my life revolves around my family, which is cool because you can do this job and have a family, which I love. So congratulations to all of you who are doing that. Candace Pert is a really cool PhD scientist. She wrote a book about the emotional chemistry called The Molecules of Emotions. And she writes that we have receptor sites in our bodies. We have the ability for the molecules of emotions acting as ligands. You can see here on the screen. And if you can't see it, it's pretty much like a lock and key mechanism. So if we have those lock and keys working together, and those keys are all emotional based, then we know that we have emotional receptor sites. And this has all been proven. Her book is pretty cool. Her book is pretty anecdotal, so it's not a lot of science, and there's a little bit of science in there. But she was working in a laboratory, and she was literally able to see. Sorry, I'm plugging in my computer. It's not charged. There we go. She was able to see that these molecules are actually called sensing molecules, and they're on the surface of all cells, and they are designed to accept only certain types of molecules. These sensing molecules are vibratory molecules which only accept the right vibratory key. So even if it fits the right this way, if one vibrates this way and the other one vibrates this way, they're never going to drive properly. They always have to be going the right direction, doing the right thing. It's kind of like one of those shape sorters. Even if you have the correct shape where it could possibly fit in somehow, it has to be the exactly right thing to fit in where it needs to go. These are electromagnetic messages, and they are important to be able to unlock and open doors for chemical messengers. So ligands and keys, more about this. In one sense, ligands are like a key that fits only certain locks. These are the receptor sites. Ligands of the right shape are accepted by cells with matching receptor sites. They are matching locks. Ligands of another shape are rejected. The key does not fit. Okay? So that's the basic premise of what we need to focus on, is that when we have emotions, the reason why they can be stored in our body is because of the sensory and vibratory molecules. So those emotions have an emotional frequency. The emotions that are the opposite, the positive emotions, have also another emotional frequency. And when you're low, like even if you're healthy, if you have an emotional frequency that's low because of a negative emotion, your whole frequency is going to be brought down. So using the affirmations, the understanding of essential oils, the ability to use those and put them on your body in the right places because of the frequencies, then you know that you have such a great healing modality here in and of itself, okay? So if you're doing this for your raindrop class, it's essential that you understand that there are more oils out there than just the raindrop oils that can help a person get through the emotional release. And we're gonna go over that now. How and why essential oils facilitate emotional release. Okay, essential oils are extracts from the natural juices of plants that circulate through the leaves, stems, roots, and flowers that constitute their lifeblood and provide the plant with an immune system. The molecules of essential oils are small enough to circulate through human tissue, bringing nutrients and information to the cells and carrying waste products out of the cells. Likewise, they are lipid soluble and provide same functions in our bodies. Super cool. Essential oils, so sorry about this, guys. Essential oils also carry coded information that can be translated by cellular DNA, and which can be of great therapeutic benefit to people on all levels. Physically, mentally, both cognitive and conscious, and emotionally, the subconscious, and spiritually. So in every single way, your body can be supported by essential oils. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different compounds found in essential oil molecules, each with an affinity for certain cells of the human body. That's where we have those vibratory keys, okay? The constituents fit the receptor sites, and the receptor sites then open up the pathway to release an emotion or to support a hormonal process. So oils to have available to facilitate an emotional release. We definitely want to have the feelings kit. So Valor, that's what we use at the beginning of Raindrop. It inspires courage. It gives confidence and self-esteem. Harmony, it promotes physical, cellular, and emotional healing with frequency balance. We have forgiveness. This is for higher spiritual awareness. So not just forgiving other people. So like if you feel like you have a lot of sins or a lot of things that you've done and you don't know how to get past that, the first step is often forgiving yourself for feeling bad, but also forgiving yourself for allowing these emotions to run your life. And so if you have someone that says in their raindrop, I just can't get over it and I'm so angry at this person, or I've done this for that person, there's a really, really good chance that forgiveness would help them. And that would just get to them this higher awareness of what actually is the problem. Inner child helps stimulate the memory response. So if you have someone who's going through a lot of darkness, where they can't remember their past and they can't remember anything that's going on in their life before a certain age, inner child might be really helpful for them. Now, when you start doing emotional release sessions on your own, it's going to be different than when you do a raindrop technique, because there's actually a portion of the emotional release that's going to have you tap on the temples, recalling memories, whereas we don't do that in a full-blown raindrop technique. If a person's going through memory association in a raindrop, you can bring inner child out to help them go deeper to release that, but you don't have to do that. This is a little bit more advanced. The oils are great, but you don't, if you're not feeling comfortable with it, you don't have to use them. Release. This one speaks for itself. It enhances the release of memory or traumas. And then present time. It helps to bring awareness into the moment. So at the end of a raindrop, if you have someone who's having a hard time coming back to reality, you just keep reliving the thought over and over and over, like, wow, I'm obsessing over this issue that happened. I didn't say goodbye to my dad before he died. I don't know, just random things I'm thinking of. Present time and valor will bring them back to their present moment. Then we have some single oils. First is frankincense. This one opens us up to higher consciousness by oxygenation of the brain. Then we have sandalwood. It removes negative programming throughout stimulation of the pituitary function. Sage, mentally stimulating, strengthens vital energy centers, and stimulates the pineal function. We have orange, which brings peace, happiness, and joy. It's very calming. It's very relaxing, but also uplifting too. So if somebody's going through a hard time, it's a really great way to support them by lifting up their mood. Then we have oregano. It opens up receptor sites or basil. Open up receptor sites or using basil, which is more gentle. They both have phenols in them. Basil is Dr. Stewart's favorite oil, which he uses on his fingertips before touching the person in order to cleanse his body so that he's not pushing any of his stuff onto another person. All right, some other blends. Let me see. White Angelica, okay, it is. Other blends would be acceptance, helps us to accept new things in life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Awaken, awakens a higher potential. Dreamcatcher, helps one visualize dreams and visions. Gathering, brings spiritual and emotional thoughts together. That's pretty big. Gathering is really good when you're in a big community of people or when you are in a group where you need to all be on the same page. So spiritual and emotional thoughts together. Grounding, it helps to stabilize and ground us to deal with reality. Hope, helps instill a feeling of going forward with hope and achievement. And then humility, helps us heal ourselves with humility and forgiveness. Awesome, love that. More helpful blends, some would love to use inspiration, helps to relieve negative thoughts. Joy, assists to open blocks in our lives we have shut down to love or joy. Sacred Mountain instills feelings of protection, grounding, and empowerment. Sarah allows for safe feelings to let go of negative emotions. Three Wise Men opens crown chakra to release negative emotions. And White Angelica, powerful positive effect to ward off negative energy. So this is one that I put on my shoulders before I do any session with any person at any time because I don't want anything that's not mine to come to me. And then we have the 12 Oils of Scripture kit, which are all really, really great. You can look into these further on your own. I just want to be cautious of time here. And does it even say how long I've been on here? Don't think so. All right. Do I have to have all of these oils to help somebody? No. Starting with the Feelings Kit or Oils of Ancient Scripture with the singles you already have on hand will allow you to help somebody. So I always bring those two no matter what. I always have an extra stash of those on hand. And I generally try to make sure that I just have them there. I usually do intuitive pulling, and that means I just have them on a cart and I pull from them. I can do it in a dark room and be able to do a whole session without actually knowing what oils they are. And my body will be using the person's energy on the table to be able to know which oil that they need. So that's a little bit more because I've done this for quite a while. You guys can use the protocol sheet that's in your notes, which is really, really simple. And you can find out which oils are high in what based on your knowledge of the chemistry. And you can say, okay, if I don't have all these emotional oils, I can use these scriptural oils or these just single oils instead. That'll be really simple. Okay, next one. Okay. The main objective, part two. We're gonna stop here. I'm gonna stop, hold on, okay. We're all done, so I just click on to the next part two video and we will continue there, okay? Thanks, guys. Okay, where is my thing? What did I do? How do I get out of here? Oh, I have to escape that. Okay, there we go. Makes more sense. Okay, end my live video. Wonderful. Now, did that one save directly to my thing? Okay.